What's up everybody, Brett here, and we are in Battle Brothers. Guys, I am super excited. Today is the first day, the first hour of the launch of Beasts in Exploration, the new DLC for one of my favorite games. It's a game that I have kept installed on my computer since it first came out because every now and then I get the urge, I get the lust for glory and battle that only Battle Brothers can provide. You'll see here I have both of the DLCs, Beasts in Exploration being the new one, as well as the Lindworm DLC. So I played the heck out of the original, right? I played it through to the end. I think I have a few winning campaigns, and I've held off for a while. I've had the itch to play, but I wanted it to be kind of fresh when I jumped into a new campaign with you guys. And for those of you who have never seen this game before, you'll very quickly, as we get into the game, discover what it's all about, and I hope you enjoy. The name of the company, the studios that developed this, I believe is Overhyped. So props to them for continuing to support this game, well after its release. And I also wanted to kind of give a quick shout out to the person that introduced me to this game. Was the late great Total Biscuit. So I was watching some of his videos, some of his streams back in the day, and he got me excited for this game. And then I ended up finding another YouTube channel. A guy named Josh that does lots of Let's Plays of the base version of this game, and through his Let's Plays I learned a lot and came to love this game quite a bit. So here we are, we're starting a new campaign. I've chosen my company name as the Sons of Verona, and I speak a little Russian, something I studied a long time ago. Verona meaning kind of like crow or raven in Russian. And I think that's going to be a cool company name for us. And there happens to be a banner that we can choose from that has kind of a similar theme. If you guys have never seen this game before, you've probably never seen the banners. These are kind of the choices we have. I was hoping that in the DLC they added a few banners to kind of freshen it up, but they didn't seem to. So that's fine with me. Late Game Crisis, we're going to go with random. It'll either be War Between the Great Houses, a Greenskin Invasion, or the Undead Scourge. We're going to take off Permanent Destruction. I don't like that. I like it when people rebuild. I want the world to stay populated. Super late game after a war or a Greenskin Invasion. I mean, they can just decimate cities, and then you really have nowhere to go. You might as well start a new campaign. Not messing around with the map seed. We'll just take what the game gives us. I have beaten this game before. I've played on both Veteran and Beginner. I've never tried Expert. I have a feeling it would just be at a ridiculous grind. So we're actually going to stay in Beginner for the purposes of this Let's Play. And that'll give us more money to play with so we can do more of the new and interesting things. From what I've seen, some of the crafting, some of the consumable items, I don't think they'll be a high priority in this game. And in order for me to showcase it to you guys, I want to make sure that I have the funds necessary to do so at the times when it's available. You know, if we put it on Veteran and Veteran combat difficulty and give ourselves medium or low funds, we probably won't get to the real meat of the new content until, several episodes in. And that's not what I want. I want to be able to make something. So, and Beginner is, don't let that fool you. If you've never seen this game before, Beginner is still quite challenging. All it really affects is how much money we have to start with, and how many early game kind of like higher tier units we'll be running up against. And at the time of our choosing in a beginner level game, we can pretty much just still fight those same types of stacks. We just get to more like choose when it's our time, when we want to fight them. And we won't do Iron Man mode. This disables manual saving. I'm doing a bit of a playthrough here, so I definitely want to be able to save at certain crucial points and have some cliffhangers for you. So, high funds, let's jump into it. And we're going to do the starting little tutorial quests. I may read some things, I may not read others. This game involves a lot of reading. You could do a lot of role playing in this game if that's kind of your thing. It gives you lots of room for that. And let's hope we got kind of a lucky seed. So the last battle, it all went wrong. 2 days ago the company was hired to track down Hoggart the Weasel and his band of raiders, but it was them who found you first, an ambush. Some joke about horses cut short by an arrow to the throat, arrows shooting in from everywhere and nowhere. Men holler and scream, a great volume before death. As the hail subsides, you draw your weapon with the rest of the men, only to collapse to your knees. An arrow has punctured your side. You shout in pain. A harried glance sees the men charge without you to make a valiant last stand, met in force as steel clashes with steel. You meet eyes with the captain, a last nod before his throat is cut. You're left in command now, of what few men remain. Trembling in pain, you lean on your sword, and with all your will you can muster, you slowly rise again. Alright, to the end. So I'm not going to read everything like that, but I feel like the introduction, for those of you who've never seen this before, is quite fitting. So I haven't played this in a while. I might be a little rusty with the controls, but I should still be fine. I remember the game. So this is Hoggart the Weasel, the guy we've been sent to kill, who has ambushed us. And these are his two men. Unfortunately, they seem to have pretty crummy weapons. So if we were able to kill these guys, we should have gotten their shields, weapons, maybe a helmet or something. But that does not seem to be the case. So we can take a second here. These three gentlemen before us are our original units. They have something called, this background is our companions, and they generally have good traits and good stats. He's supposed to be our archer, which is why he has stars in his archery trait, but he has -10 initiative, which is pretty terrible for an archer. So that's pretty unfortunate. And these guys are not shielded. He's closer. Let's take the crossbow shot. That did pretty big damage, and we'll reload here. Alright, so we can actually move in here, kind of get in front of our crossbowmen and do some nice piercing damage there, and I think we should be able to take him out. Didn't quite have enough movement to swing, but this white flag means he is retreating, so he's going to look to run. His buddy is also having morale issues, but he's going to jump in and hit us, no doubt. Thankfully he missed. And now that we've already reloaded, we can move forward, get behind our shield bro, and shoot. If we'd have taken the shot from here, we'd have probably shot our own guy in the back. Unfortunate that we did miss that hit, but we'll pass our action, and we should be able to kill him and move up. The more allies you have around an enemy, the better your chance of hitting. And we're going to wait turn. We still have a few action points left that we can move if we're able. And there we go. We've set him to rout as well. So no need to move, no need to do anything. We'll take a shot. Should kill him, and there we go. So no damage taken for us. Good experience as well. And this is a pretty rough start. We're not getting any good starting loot. And we need to check on our battle brothers to make sure that they have decent stats. So you're alive, you won. So what now, Captain? And our captain's dead. So we were promoted, and now it's time for us to go and try and recoup our losses. We have to rebuild our company, decide what we want to do for questing. So we have a large northern, kind of like a country here, a country in the south in these desert grasslands, and then kind of a middling forested region here. So 3 separate countries, and we get reputation whenever we do quests and things for each one. So let's go ahead while we have a second. The game is paused, and we will look at some of the traits of our brothers. So Guntbert here, he has Swift, +5 range defense. That's a nice trait. And Bright, so he has increased experience gain. He could end up being quite a good character for us. He has increased resolve, health, and fatigue. So he's meant to be a shield-bearing brother. And we also have Fat on Baldwin. So +10 hit points, which is nice for a two-handed character, but -10 fatigue, which is not so nice. He also has Bright. So they will level up fairly quickly, especially if we give them the student perk right off the bat as they level. And here we're going to give these bandages. Can we not? They may have changed this. Okay. So we don't seem to be able to... I think they changed how these slots work, which, if I'm remembering correctly, is probably fine. Let's see here. Let's do a quick experiment. So these types of items now can only specifically be put in this slot here. Ammunition goes here. Some type of amulet, trinket thing will go there, and then an item here. Let's place our crossbowmen behind our shield bro. You'll see here we have food. A couple days worth of food to get us to our starting city. And if you want to know what we have exactly, 2,500 gold, 50 provisions, and you'll see there it says you have 6 days. Well, it'll last us 8 more days. Okay, and we're using 6 provisions a day, so we're fine for 8 days. Tools to help repair our weapons and armor as they break, and ammunition for our ranged units, and medical supplies if we take injuries. So that should be good for now. You'll see here this little icon means that's where our quest is. So we can go ahead and speed this up. And we move around on the map almost like a little chess piece. We're following the road, but lots of things can happen. There are lots of enemies off the roads and sometimes on the road. So the return to Otterndorf. What a sorry display it must be for the onlookers as you arrive in Otterndorf. We killed his men, but the weasel eluded our blades in the end. You did well, Salsword. The brigands have been removed, though it is a shame that Hoggart still lives. So we expect to get paid. Guys, if you want to read some of this, but I'm kind of skipping through the more like roleplay type elements of some of these less important missions, and some of the missions that I've seen, honestly, 20 times. Please feel free to pause at any time, read this on your own, and yeah, I often do that whenever I watch Let's Plays as well. So we expect to get paid for this. Naturally, 400 crowns as agreed upon. So here we go. Yes, the company is in ruin, but we will rebuild it. Without the sons of Verona, Baldwin would drink the crowns away and end up begging on the streets. And Raymond, by the gods we all know, he'd go chasing the womenfolk until one stove his rotted head in. We need the sons of Verona. It's all we have. What say you, Captain? So now we have a chance to either go and start our own questing or to finish Hoggart. Now I like to kill Hoggart. It's a decent early quest. It usually gives us a decent item and some decent gold, and it gives your early game a bit of focus. It makes you recruit a certain number of guys, which we will do shortly. There's a harbor here if we wanted to set sail. It's actually pretty nice to have a harbor in the first place you have to go to, because if we wanted to leave this part of the world and go to another, we could simply kind of pack up and go. So the next priority is for us, with 2,900 gold, it's quite a bit. The next priority is for us to get some more brothers. We can have a maximum of 12 engaged in combat at one time, and then how many is this here? As many as 9 in reserve. So, which won't come into play until very late game. So here there's a new mechanic as well. Their character traits are hidden. So previously they were known. You could kind of guess what kind of stats the characters would have by a name like the Weasel. I mean, I don't remember what they all are off the top of my head. But you can infer from this that maybe he's greedy, he wants more money, or maybe he has a quest event at some point that'll cause him to steal something. There's lots of little things like that happen. And their backgrounds as fishermen, peddlers, kind of dictate how they'll function once you get them. So I'm tempted to get Bernfried here. He's very cheap. His upkeep is 9, which is not as cheap as the other two, but he also only costs 180 gold up front. We may end up taking both of these fishermen. They don't really come with their own good weapons, but they do come with nets, and he comes with a hat. So, a helmet rather. So that could be helpful. So you can see here we can read his bio. And this is a new feature as well. We can try him out. So late game when we're rolling in gold, if we want to try out a new expensive character, we can kind of rent him. And if we don't like his traits, we don't like his stats, we can get rid of him and we won't have lost a ton of gold. Because late game, these dudes start to cost, 4,000 or 5,000 gold to get them. So Bernfried was a strong and able fisherman. As long as there was no storm, he was out there fishing day in and day out. Yeah, we're going to hire Bernfried and cross our fingers that he's good. And let's see what we got. So he has Night Owl, +1 vision during nighttime, which is nice. Triple health and 1 star in fatigue. And these stars will, as we level, these stars will add a point to a stat of our choosing. And these triple stars here will mean that as we level and we have the opportunity to put a point here, there, and to some of the other things, as you'll see when we level, hit points will be a huge number pretty much every time. We'll probably be able to make this dude well over 100 HP if we would like, which makes him an excellent frontline character for us. And the fact that he has +1 vision during nighttime, oftentimes that makes him a decent character for range skill. However, these stats, he's going to want to be in the front with us. Probably going to give him a shield. So that was a nice pickup there. And this gentleman is even cheaper. I'm going to stay away from someone referred to as the Weasel. But this is as his background as a fisherman makes him used to physical labor, which usually means they're good early shieldmen. So we're going to take him as well. Feel free to read the background here. Pause it, read the background, see if you like this character. And guys, if you're watching this video, I can rename all of these characters. If you're a subscriber, if you see this video and you subscribe, let me know in the comments a good name that you would like for your character, and I will certainly name characters for you as long as I have some. So huge. I don't think I've ever seen this one before. He has great melee damage, or he will. At least he has a star in it as well, which is excellent. At least he has 1 star. Tons of stars in fatigue as well as melee defense. So, and swift. Okay. So these two kind of negate each other, but he still has 0 melee defense, which is not good. But he does have a star in it, so perhaps we can make up for that as he levels. And these nets. Can we put nets? Okay, we can put nets in our item slots, which is good. And the nets will allow us to disable a target as we get into battle. And we're still going to want a few more men, at least 1 more. And I think we're going to pass on the Weasel here, but we are going to go into the marketplace and see what we can buy. Fish seems to be cheap. Tools are very expensive, so is ammunition. And do we have any of the new weapons? Or everything seems to be very expensive. We want to pick up things that are damaged. I don't even think we need to grab any fish quite yet. I would love to have grabbed some spears at a better price, but the pricing here seems to be a bit off. We can grab a straw hat and a hood. And I think we will. We can also grab... This bludgeon is super cheap. We'll take that as well. We don't want our frontliners to be walking around with trash weapons. And everybody needs to have a helmet. What kind of helmet is that? That's a weak helmet. We're going to give you the straw. And you'll see the percentage of its durability. That'll get repaired by our tools as we kind of walk around. It just takes time. And I would like to have another spear, so I think I'm going to buy one. And we're going to make our outside man here a spearman. And until we get... This is also a consumable, which is worth knowing, I do believe. Yeah, is destroyed on use. So it's a consumable. We'll look to give both of these dudes shields. And eventually turn Emmerich here into a two-handed character, preferably, if he survives. Which is a kind of a big if. And let's take one thing of food here. Now we're up to... Yeah, we bought ourselves another day of having provisions. Okay. We're still wearing kind of trash gear, but we're going to go back towards Brunenland, look to pick up some more brothers, give ourselves some better armor, some shields. They had 2 bucklers in there that we could have bought, but they're kind of trash tier shields. I would rather not use those. Just skip right over them. They're the lowest tier of shield, but we can get some better round shields. We can fast forward a bit. So along the way, take a second to read that and I'll just skip through it. Just some story dialogue to help you kind of start to identify with the characters a bit. And this is a nice big town for us with a lot of contracts. Once we finish trying to take care of the weasel, we can come back here and take some decent contracts. So let's look who they have for hire. Yeah, so see here, this dude costs 3,700. Niels the Falcon. Probably very strong. He is a sellsword. That's one of the higher tier backgrounds that a person can have. And I would love to get an early second ranged character. And Edgel here is super expensive though. He has very low upkeep, but I think he's expensive because he comes with a tier 2 bow. And he's not used to physical labor. We have a brawler here, which we may pick up on, and a minstrel. Okay. And a rat catcher. So you see here it says he needs to have quick reflexes, which could translate into some sort of skill. I'm going to hold off on this. I'm leaning towards taking Edgel here, as well as Randolph the Mauler. And then calling that good. But that'll be 160. So, you know, about 1,200 gold for those. And then we'll only have about 800 left to outfit them. So before we go into there, we have a tavern that we can go into. We can buy our guys some drinks and increase their morale. Or we can pay the local innkeep for some rumors, and we could find some legendary type items out there. We can go to the barber here, and like I said, guys, if you want me to name a character after you, give me a brief description in the comments of what you want them to look like, and I'll go into the game off camera and I'll edit these guys to make them look like whatever you want. Most of the time, if my battle brothers survive at a certain point, I end up naming one after myself, and it's usually either the shield bro or the two-handed guy, and I usually make them look a bit like me, kind of a more swole version of me. But we can go into the armor here. Let's see what they have. Very expensive armor that we cannot afford. I already see some new stuff that I've never seen before. The footman's armor, I've never seen that. The noble mail, it's pretty cool looking. It's pretty expensive for what it does. It's not 160? That seems very expensive for 160. Maybe there's some like hidden stat there. It only has 15 fatigue though. That might be kind of the hidden benefit. It might be low fatigue. And then here's one of the new items. So double mail. Right click or drag onto an armor carried by the currently selected character in order to permanently fuse. This item will be consumed in the process to give the following effects: plus 20 durability, minus 2 fatigue. So this is nice. I think we'll be able to craft this at some point. These prices in here are obviously high. We should not buy anything from an armorer this early in the game. We can't afford it. Temple here to help us heal our guys. We can go into this real quick. None of our people are wounded, so we should be fine. And then a marketplace. So in a marketplace, you'll also find these types of goods, these trading goods. If you come into a place that has really good deals, you'll see here it's worth 400, but they want us to pay 640 for it. That's not going to happen. But if it was very low, let's say the city was being raided, the prices would drop. We could pick up a ton of them, go to another city where they're in demand, and make several hundred gold off of selling that. And we would do that kind of en route to doing other things, and we could make a fortune off of that. So the prices in this city are awful. I'm seeing that now. So we bought our fish for like 75 gold, and here they're like double. This wooden mallet, that's a new weapon. These throwing spears are new weapons as well. And I also see some paint sets as well as paint. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, like this. The spear here is 288 in the other city. It was 188. So that's unfortunate. But I do see some decent armors here, which I think we kind of have to pick up. We'll grab these two for now, and we'll kind of bounce back and forth as we check stuff out. We might grab this padded surcoat as well. It's a nice price, finding it damaged like that. And we can even grab another spearman if we want, after we see what our new Battle Brothers are going to look like. So I think we start with the Mauler, who doesn't come with any gear at all, which is why he's so cheap. His upkeep is pretty high though. It's actually surprisingly high at 15. I hope you have some good traits, buddy. All right, let's see what he's got. Hopefully he's not greedy. So he has Iron Lungs. +4 fatigue recovery per turn. That's pretty good. He has decent range defense, which isn't great. Higher resolve and initiative. So these are some pretty bad rolls. He does 100% damage when unarmed. That'll never happen. We never want to have an unarmed man in our company. But we do want to make sure that our Battle Brothers are wearing the best gear that we have. Get rid of these rags. We can just sell these for a little bit of gold. He's okay with a weak tunic for now. And we have enough to get Edgel the Arrow Maker, and we will hire him. Hopefully this is not a mistake, but he does have a hunting bow. He has only 1 point in range skill. That's not the worst. It could be no points. He has almost no resolve. That's awful. And he has hesitant as a trait. So this guy might not have been worth it. You can get some unique quest lines when you have people with his background. So as a bowyer, with the trait Arrow Maker, I would expect him to proc us to get the quest. I think it makes like a legendary bow. So we need to keep an eye out for that. I think we need to have some tradable wood in our inventory to make that happen. Something like that. But he also has pretty fair melee stats. So we could end up making him a hybrid. He attacks from range, and then when the enemies get close, he pulls out like a pitchfork style weapon or a halberd style weapon, and then reaches over the front lines to hit. I kind of like doing that. I like having almost all my backline characters being able to switch out to a two-handed weapon. So that's not a bad pickup. We're up to 7 Battle Brothers here. And we have a little bit more gold to play with. We need to sell the trash. Come down here and see what we can get. What do we still need? We need a weapon. We kind of desperately need shields. Yeah, not having shields is probably what's hurting us the most right now. And we don't really have a ton of gold left. We have enough gold to pay our guys for 7 days, but in a second we won't. Anyone still wearing rags? I mean, that's 30. That's not very good. Okay. Does he need a helmet? Okay, so we need a lot of stuff. That bowyer purchase was a bit of a gamble that perhaps did not pay off. But we're going to get paid after we do this mission. So let's take the cheapest stuff we can find and roll with that. Okay, what does that do for us? And we can give him the shield in his inventory. Outside man gets a hat. We need just a little bit more. We need a weapon. And I would have preferred to get a spear that didn't cost 288, which is a shame. But we could also just buy this shield. And I think this is what we're going to have to do. Early game is really a scrounge for decent weapons. This doesn't do a lot of damage, but it does pierce. It does ignore armor a bit, and it doesn't damage armor when you attack. So we can end up getting a bit more armor by kind of bypassing it. And let's make sure our ranged guys all have a knife that they can switch to, just in case they get engaged upon in melee. That's slightly better than what he's wearing. And I think we're good. This is about all we can do. We don't have a ton of gold we may need to actually sell these fish back. Make sure, I want to have at least 2 days worth of provisions. And now with all that done, we can move to Ottendorf. And we can speed it up here. I don't expect us to find any of the enemies. Very tightly packed area here. 4 cities right next to each other can make for excellent trading. And at nighttime, the cities are closed. Certain things, certain shops and things you cannot do. So he's telling us, the brigand known as Hoggart is hiding in a small hut in the forest to the west of here. Based upon my most civil discussion with one of his men, Hoggart knows the sons of Verona is on his heels and have gathered more men since the last time you met him. So he tells us good luck. We can come into here and look to see what they have. Yeah, much better prices on things like spears. Yeah, don't want to buy in the big city quite yet. And yeah. So you do a little bouncing back and forth. You go to a small town, you go to a big city. There are certain things you cannot do in a big city until you have a high enough reputation. And let's go ahead and take this fight. A few brigand thugs and a brigand poacher. And we're fighting them, I think this is during the daytime. I heard the cock crow right as we engaged. So we shouldn't have any penalties to our ranged units, which is important. Because we did kind of decide to engage at almost nighttime. And we're going to have the ranged advantage in this fight, is basically what I'm trying to say. We're going to wait our turn there. We'll move up one. And we're going to take this little hill position because it does, it gives us a little bit of advantage in melee combat. Let's see what kind of shots we can take. None yet. We could even put our crossbowmen up there. But that'll make him vulnerable to fire from this position, I do believe. Let's try it. It's risky, but it could work. They have some line of sight issues here. Yeah, we actually have a better chance to hit Hoggart himself with his chainmail and his falchion sword. And we hit his shield. Okay. We took a shot. And their archer moved back, which is nice for us. Now we essentially just want to get our guys in front. And this bush acts as kind of an obstacle. So I don't like not being able to attack after I move, but I think that's going to have to be the case. And we can move forward here and throw our net. So he can't move. He's going to have to pass a check in order to get out of there. And we're going to move forward one and spear wall. So if he runs into melee here, he's going to take some damage. Yeah, and that cleaver is going to do some nasty work against us because we don't have a shield there. But yeah, that's exactly what I expected to happen. He's trying to bash us over the head. And we're going to bypass that, pierce him. And we have a chance here to take out the poacher, but I don't think that's worth it. Yeah, that's a big shot. That bypassed all of his armor. Let's actually look and see if they're taking some sort of penalty to ranged. I don't see it. I think it would tell us if they were. So if we move here, we can just put a shot on Hoggart. And we killed him. And we got his sword and his shield, so that's excellent. And now we just want to run away with Burnfree. He took a lot of damage, and we don't need him to take that damage. This character is trying to run, so he's going to get attacked as he does that. And now we just need to move forward and try and move in on this poacher. Let's try and puncture him, and that didn't work either. It's okay. 13% chance, and we missed. So I assumed he was going to shoot at the character closest to him, but we've nearly got him. And once we're engaged in melee, he has to have a specific trait, I think it's called fleet-footed, that allows him to get out of melee range with us without taking a hit. So pretty unlucky there that we weren't able to hit him. We can opt to take an aim shot here, which costs more AP, more of our action points, but usually it has a higher accuracy. So let's move a few paces forward. We still can't attack. Let's hope to take this dude out. That buckler was keeping him up. Still have a little bit of movement left. He'll just wait. And now it's a chasing game. We want to get into range of this poacher and take him down. And we figured we were going to miss that. It's no big deal. And there we go. So a nice clean victory. And Guntbert has leveled. So I get to show you guys the leveling system. So here we picked up salt, which is a tradable commodity. It's worth a lot of gold. That's a nice extra payday. We picked up some beer, which is kind of like food, as well as these grains. 128 gold, some more tools, another set of quivers, another quiver rather, that we can use. A falchion, which is just like a curved sword. Pretty good for us early game, as well as a cleaver, which is a weapon I like against early game enemies. Very good against the undead. And we also got a patched mail shirt, which is nice. You don't always get that. That crossbow shot taking out, almost all of his health in one go. Did not destroy the armor, so we were able to pick that up, thankfully. For the company, for all the men who've fallen, let's take the bastard's head and get back to Otterndorf. Time to get paid. So in case you guys haven't picked up on it yet, this game has a very medieval, kind of German feel to it, which is very intentional. The developers are from Germany, I do believe, and they draw a lot of their inspiration from that. But there's also tons of fantasy elements as well, and a lot of the new DLC content has those fantasy elements, and that's really what I can't wait to get into and explore. So let's go ahead and right off the bat, we'll make sure that Baldwin has the patched mail because he won't be wielding a shield. Bernfried, he'll take this wooden shield here. And now all four of our guys have wooden shields, which is nice. And are you any good? It's hard to remember. Randolph the Mauler. I feel like Maulers need cleavers, you know what I'm saying? And Bernfried, you did great that battle. And you're just kind of an all-around okay dude. What do you have again? You could do melee damage. We're going to give you the sword. Sorry about that. And we'll give you the spear on the outside. And that's fine. So even holding these weapons causes fatigue in our brothers. But holding a knife does not. You'll see here it says it has no minus fatigue penalty. So let's say we wanted to give our archers better melee weapons. Their fatigue will go down as a result. So we just want them to have kind of a guilt-free fatigue there. And we're going to give another quiver of arrows to Egil here. So that way if he shoots more than 10 times in a battle, he'll have an entirely new quiver that he can switch out to mid-battle. And who else? We want to give somebody this padded leather. That's 55, 50. And I mean, guys, if you don't like micromanaging armor, I can certainly understand that. But it's part of the charm of the game that you're constantly, trying to equip your guys, give them better stuff. And you're constantly moving gear around and trying to make the best of these situations. So here, before we go back to town, we have the opportunity to level. So 2 of our battle brothers have the bright trait. Get 10% experience gain is quite nice, and for the most part the student trait is kind of a go-to first pick. It gives you an additional 20% experience from battle, and when you finally reach the last trait level, which is level 11, it unlocks for you an additional trait point, so you won't have wasted it. It makes your early game weaker, but you get to the late game faster with your characters. I generally skip it, honestly, but them having bright plus this 30% experience throughout the early and mid game will be super beneficial. I could see them leveling quite fast. And yeah, normally I like to get something like Colossus or Crippling Strikes. I like, there's some synergies here that I'll go over as we get deeper into the game, but wounding and then damaging my enemies and staying alive is kind of how I like to fight. I like to have a shield wall and stand and bang with lots of spears and two-handed weapons. But we'll go student here. Give ourselves an additional 20% experience per turn. That's huge. And now we can level up our traits. So this is pretty important. So I've played this game a lot, right? I know what's important and what's not. For those of you at home who've never played this before, melee defense and melee skill. If you're a melee character, these are the two things you need the most. After that would probably come fatigue, so your guy doesn't become tired early and can only swing maybe once per turn. Lots of bad things can happen to you if you get fatigued early on in a battle. You need resolve. I would say by the end game, you want to have every character in your roster to have at least 50 resolve. That usually means they won't run at the sight of very scary enemies, and they'll stand and fight even if they're injured. And I like having around 80 health. That helps you to survive any kind of armor-piercing damages, crossbows and things like that. If you have characters that have like 40 health, which I've seen some Let's Plays, honestly, where dudes just they ignore health completely, and then they're kind of like surprised when they get pierced late game by some of the really strong armor-piercing weapons, and their guys just get one-shotted. It's because they didn't put anything to health. So I don't like to put too much into health, usually one or two kind of +4s, and then you get Colossus on a frontline guy. Next thing you know, you've got 85, 90 health, and I only usually do that if my other rolls are bad. So you see here we rolled a 1 and a 1 in the two most crucial spots. So we're going to take advantage of these rolls to put 3 in our resolve, get ourselves closer to that 50, put 3 in our fatigue, and get ourselves up to 100, which is nice. And then we'll put 4 into health. So he's becoming very sturdy and very reliable. And then hopefully soon, if these were 2s, we would have taken them. But hopefully very soon we'll get better rolls. And we'll be able to get him up to like the 75-ish mark in melee skill, probably 76 area, and give him some more melee defense so that he's stronger in melee. So let's return. Fast forward a bit. I love the 2x feature. But you got to be careful when you're speeding around because you could get intercepted by enemies. It happens quite a bit. Got a moment, Captain? You nod for him to speak his mind. The battle has left some gear worse for wear, and some men got a good nicking too. We could patch up both men and equipment while marching, but it's a lot faster to sit down and do it. So what he's telling you is that we can camp. So this button here, we pop camp, and our items are repaired faster as well as our men are healed quicker. And there you go, it'll tell you that. But you want to be careful you don't get surprised. So take a second to read this if you'd like. We brought them his head, and they're giving us some sweet crowns. 742 gold. So whereas it looked like we might run out of gold soon, now we're swimming in money. And this is probably a good price. I would generally just sell this now. This town is favorable towards us. So I think we're going to sell this. And now we're up to 1100, and we can sell one of those as well. We'll keep the knife. And we may want to look to get another battle brother if we can at some point. How much food do we have? So 3 more days. We need some more provisions. Let's get some fish. So now we're up to 5 days, and that's excellent. That's about where we want to be. We don't need any of this stuff. That net came in very handy in that first fight, but we did use it. So no more net for that guy. But it's pretty sweet. I've never done that before. I've never netted down Hoggart and then just wrecked him like that. Normally he gets into melee and he can do some damage with his far superior gear. Kind of looking at this hatchet like, man, I want that hatchet. But let's check, make sure they didn't get any new guys. And they did not. So I'm kind of going to do my parting spiel here as we look to come back to Brunelin and pick up one of those quests. Probably a tier 1 quest. You'll see there were like 1-star, 2-star quests, or skulls rather, I think is what they are. And I think it goes up to 3. 3 being the most dangerous, but also very lucrative. If we tried to take on a tier 3 quest right now, we would just die. We would wipe. But let's get in here, try and get another guy. We're only on day 2 and we're doing fine. This is a pretty smooth run so far. And I'm going to pick up another quest. And I think I'm going to call it for today, guys. So far, we've seen a little bit of the new content. We haven't fought any new enemies yet. I can't wait to do that. I hope you enjoy this playthrough. I'm going to be doing it whether it gets views or not. Guys, I'm a small YouTube channel. I don't have a lot of subscribers. Nobody pays me to do this. I do this because I love the games that I play. And I'm trying to make friends on the internet, if you know what I mean. So if you guys enjoy it, let me know. You know, you don't have to subscribe if you don't want to. But leave a comment so I know who's watching. And like I said, pick a character and I'll name them after you. And we can kind of interact with the game that way. But I could talk about this game all day long. I love the stats. I love the equipment. I love the feel of it. And yeah, I'm super happy to be back into it and playing it some more. So I'm tempted to get the Rat Catcher, Eberhard, Bow-legged, and Scrawny. See, that sounds rough to me. That sounds like he'll come with some sort of trait that we don't want. Now I'm not so sure. I read his little blurb there, and I don't know if we want him. We definitely don't want a minstrel. Jesus Christ. You'll probably die, sir, if we take you. And we can look at these quests here. Take a second to read. Graves in the cemetery have been found open and raided. So we can ask for more money, ask for some money in advance, or we can just decline. You have to be careful. If you decline, that's pretty much it. If you accept the offer, let's say we need to be paid more for this and they disagree, we'll kind of have negative influence on the town. So we need to be careful when we do that. So usually early game when I'm trying to build up a reputation, I just kind of accept the offer. And at this point we can either say I need some time to think about it, in which case the contract will remain open, or we can decline, and that's fine, or we can accept it. I think we will accept it. This looks like it's probably right up our wheelhouse. We'll either be fighting bandits when we show up, or perhaps some zombies. And I think that's fine. And we can only have one contract at a time, but when we come back, there'll be another one waiting for us. This is an excellent starting position. And I'm tempted to go in here and get everybody drunk, just because I'm so happy at how well our first day went. A day went by, but I don't think any new gear should be available to us from the first day. I'm very tempted to buy this padded leather here. It's a nice early game piece of armor for us. And I think we still have some dudes in the front line who have some pretty weak armor. 65 isn't bad. 55 is kind of bad. I think we're going to buy it, and that might be one of the last things we buy as a strict upgrade. And then of course if we get another brother before we go out to this quest, we'll be able to give him slightly better gear, which is nice. And there we go. We just did a nice little switch out. We're well provisioned, we're well armored, and our weapons are decent. Make sure I didn't steal. Okay, yeah, everyone's good. Cleaver, falchion, 2 spears, and a 2-handed axe. So that's all good stuff. We even have a tier 2 bow, which I'm very happy about. And I think the falchion is a tier 2 sword as well, 35 to 45 damage. So alright guys, before I overload your brains with too much information, because I know this game can be a lot, I'm going to go ahead and call it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this Let's Play. I'm going to plan on playing this till the end, and I hope you kind of buckle up for the ride. And don't be surprised, for the next few days I'll probably upload it every day as I play, but after that I might do it every other day. I do play a lot of different games on the channel, so hopefully if you found my channel, you see some other different games that you like as well. I just started playing Artifact today. It just released as well yesterday, and I'm kind of new to that. I'm doing some drafts, but yeah, playing some Kingdom Rush. There's a new Kingdom Rush game that just dropped, Kingdom Rush Vengeance, and I'm working my way through the series. It's a game that I've played many times, and hope you guys enjoy that as well. But anyway guys, once again, my name is Brett. My channel is Good Talk Gaming. I hope you enjoyed this video, And guys, I will see you in the next one. Take care.